All right. Welcome back to a family business podcast. We're in September. I mean, this year has flown by. It was just like yesterday where we were giving our predictions out for 2025. So let's just kind of talk a little bit about what we're doing. So just to give you a 35,000 foot view of our local market here, typically we have a stronger push after Labor Day into kind of November before the snow flies, right? And so it's very easy for an agent to maybe get lost in a slower part of our market on the calendar year. So we'll talk a little about what should we be doing to prep for potentially a slower market, or prep for the objections of buyers or sellers not waiting until the spring, right? We hear that quite a bit this time of year. And then how do you prep for a calendar year as we head to 2026? So let's just kind of dive into talking about, what should we be doing as an agent right now, looking towards our slower part of the market.
Well, it's no secret that what you do today is what's going to happen here in a couple of months, right? So we always like to take the end of the year, and this is not answering your question directly. Right now, you should be working the market. You should be like it is in April, May. But at the end of the year, we always like to plan what are our goals in the upcoming year, and how are we going to get there. But I would argue that why not do that now, right? That we just talked about what you're doing today is going to be what's going to happen in a couple of months. So I think this year that we should change it up a little bit, and we should start to plan for next year now.
Well, I think planning's great. I do think that I'm gonna disagree with you a little bit. Shocker. I mean, yeah, obviously what you do this 30 days is what your paycheck is for the next 60 to 90 days. So we all know that. So, if we're in September, beginning of October, however, whatever, you do have a good 30 days that you're still probably finishing out 2025 fourth quarter. But I think that for goal setting for 2026, I don't know that I'm really setting goals for 2026. Maybe overall, like kind of like you said at the beginning, 35,000 foot view of what I want 2026. But I really feel like as our market has changed so much, and right now is a perfect example with that, with the rates and the job reports and all the up and downs with that. I think that you really it's more quarter by quarter, right? I think that quarter four, what is it that you need to do, at the end of quarter four for your quarter one of 2026, and then keep going forward, because I just think that things are just changing too quickly. The market doesn't sit and stay the same. I mean, it changes like monthly, quarterly. I mean, we're different. And right now is a perfect example of that.
Well, and we had kind of talked at our company party on Wednesday night.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's a great event. Last Wednesday, that it used to be, at the end of the year, it was so slow, and that has totally changed as well. I feel like the hot months are not quite as ridiculously hot as they used to be, not weather-wise, but real estate-wise, and the ones that aren't quite as busy, because we used to always say between Thanksgiving and New Year's, not a whole lot happens. I disagree with that. I mean, if you want to go out there and work, there's plenty of business to be had out there. So when you're looking into quarter four, rather than take the whole month of December off, why don't you take December 20th through New Year's off? And if you really want to have more paychecks in January and February, why don't you take December 24th through, and then even work between Christmas and New Year's? There's a lot out there that there are people that want to look at homes. Now, everybody's at a different level, that some people may not want to do
but
that.
not only that, I mean, it's not even just about the paycheck. When you're looking at your database and you're looking at your buyer pool funnel and your seller pool funnel, especially for your buyers, I mean, everybody with the rates being as low as they've been all year.
You mean as high? Oh.
The rates. Are as low as they've been all year.
Yeah. I thought you said being as low as they've been all year, which is what you said. what I took that as was that the rates have been so low all
Brad,
year.
are you drinking?
Yeah, I am drinking Element tea.
Okay,
It's
anyway.
pretty crazy.
Okay, so back to this, but I mean, it's really too. I mean, it is a good time. You know, we always talk about, you know, when's the best time to buy or sell, but right now is a really good time. You should be. We've talked about this on other podcasts. You should be having those conversations with your buyers and sellers because now is a good time for them to be buying. And if you're a seller, there should be the mortgage applications are the highest they've been all. So there's buyers that are out there chomping. So as a seller, there's less competition. And as a buyer, there's a little more opportunity. I know that seems like it's an oxymoron to say the same things, but it's true. We have a little bit more inventory for a buyer. You don't have to make decisions quite as quickly. And as a seller, there's not as much competition. We're in that nice little sweet spot, in my opinion.
It's a solid market right now, not out of control seller's market.
Well, and it's an interesting time to have conversations with everybody. And this is, I believe, the time of year where you should be talking most to your database. That's Brad mentioned earlier, the work you're doing now is going to show 30, 60, 90 days down the road. And you'll start to get these objections in our market, or maybe in the more of the Midwest where there is a winter. I'm going to wait till the spring. Well, there's things that people could be doing now to prepare to either be successful in the spring, or you never know until, you know, that you might have them start the process. You might sit down with them and actually walk them through, hey, this is, you know, what we're looking at right now, and have the conversation. They might change their mind, right? That's the biggest thing.
Well, and as agents, we have to be careful that people will tell us that they're going to buy in the spring. I'm going to tell you something. If they have a pre-approval letter right now, they're probably going to buy in the next month. So stay on them. Don't take their word for it that they're going to buy next spring. What they're telling you is that we have in our head that we want to buy, and in a perfect world, we want to buy next spring. But if the right property pops on, you better believe they're buying it.
Right.
Well, and we talk about this all the time as well. I mean, you're correct, 30, 60, 90 days. But for a buyer, if it's the right house, now is the right time. And that's why it's like you said, PT, this is when you should be sitting down, like, you know, scheduling your coffees, your lunches, sitting down with buyers that you have as far as doing a buyer consult and really making sure that they are prepared to buy a home, right? If you're feeling a little stagnant in where you're at and you're like, geez, it's almost the end of 2025. Great. Start having those conversations because like you said, sometimes they're going to be like, oh, well, maybe I am ready to buy right now. Right. Other times there's things that they may need to do so that they can buy sooner than they think, rather than finding the house and then they're not able to do it. And same for a seller. I mean, a seller, people, yes, I'd like to sell my home. Oh, okay, great. And you go over and you realize they have all these different things that need to happen. I mean, we have one right now that's incoming soon that we thought would already be on the market, and we're still probably 2 weeks before, because things come up, things happen, right. Life happens. So you need to be having those conversations with your sellers and getting them prepared for when they're ready. Same with your buyers. Same thing. It's all conversion happens in conversation, and it's the only way you can find out what it is that your seller or your buyer needs is if you're talking to them.
And as an agent, stop trying to time the market too. Like you can't time the stock market, you can't time the real estate market. And just because the rumor is that they're like going to cut the rate by 0.25%, that doesn't mean that the interest rates will necessarily go down. That does not go hand in hand. Now, if there's a more aggressive cut, like say they go down 0.5 point, then yeah, I mean, there's a good chance that this gets over a lot of people's heads, but and if you're not in the business, you wouldn't understand it. But when
he assumes
when the bond rate goes up, the mortgage interest rate generally goes down. So if they cut it 0.5 point, you're probably going to see rates drop. So why would you want to wait all the way up until then? You will get a better rate, but you're going to have a lot more competition too.
Well, we had 3 homes that we had go live last Thursday.
That all got offers.
Every single one of them over the weekend got offers. 2 of them are under contract. All 3 of those properties were over $500,000, which is over the median home price for they were all on the Iowa side, Iowa Quad Cities. So, and they all had lots of showings on them. So, but the cool thing about it was, going back to what I just said before, the buyer didn't have to instantly write the offer, right? There was like that 24, 30, they had to actually think about it for a minute. Right. And the seller, I mean, that's fine. They were prepared. They got to, have showings and they're all happy, so to say that now is not a busy time is crazy.
It is. Yeah. Now I've read nationally where there's been more buyers that have backed out of contracts in this year than normal. And do you think that a big part of that is maybe that they have to write offers really quickly and then they get kind of, should I've done that?
Right. Yeah. I believe that there's always some type of thought that comes to mind when a decision isn't fully thought through. Yeah. But at the end of the day, that's also our job to walk through them, all of the intricacies of the deal and what they're stepping into, right? So there's a lot of fine tuning the conversations you have with your clients.
Well, and Housing Wire. So when we're recording this, Housing Wire just posted a couple of days ago, one of the new that just came out from Altos, the Midwest, which we're in the Midwest, housing market defies national days on market trends.
Yeah.
So every market is going to be different, but for us, it goes back to what you said before. I mean, historically speaking, this is a good time of year for us. And we are defying what the average days on market is nationally. The Midwest is, the average right now is 9.6 days on the market, which is 83% faster than the national rate. So that goes back to, again, having the conversations with your buyers, because depending where they're coming from, they may think that there's going to be a multitude of inventory. You have a buyer right now that's coming from somewhere else, multitude of inventory, and they can just wait it out and lowball it up. But that's just not what's happening in our market.
Real estate markets are always hyper local, always.
Hyper. Yeah. So, I think the key word that we've just kind of all come to a conclusion here is conversation. So, what should we be doing right now? Having conversations, calling our database, reaching out, touching them in some sort of way to communicate what is actually going on right now. It's easy to look ahead and say, oh my goodness, it's going to be Halloween before we know it. And then before we know it, it's going to be cold outside. And, it's very easy for our brain to go to that place. So get into a routine. I challenge you to build some type of way to have daily conversations with your database and engage and have conversation to not only lay out what's happening right now, but also what's going to happen too. We don't have crystal balls, but how to be prepared.
Well, and I mean, one really good actionable item. I mean, the average person sells their home every 5 to 7 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, I mean, if I'm an agent, I mean, a great thing you could do is go into whatever your county database is. If you if you have your own CRM and a great funnel of people, that's a great way to do it too. But otherwise, you could go into your county. I mean, we have a county site. Search people that have been in their home for 5 to 7 years. Maybe put that on top of your farm if you do geographical farming. See who's in those homes. Do some door knocking. Do some mailers. See if any of them are in your database where you can actually just pick up the phone and call them, because I bet you they're probably going to sell and buy very soon now, especially if they're watching the rates and they're seeing what's happening. They're like, okay, wait. Hey, I've been in here. I'm getting the itch. It's time to go. And by the time that you see the for sale sign in your yard, it's too late, right? I mean, you should have called them before then.
Exactly.
So get after it.
Run the plays. And there's always time to, we all have, there's times if you don't feel like you're doing anything, there's probably something you could be doing. So, as you're heading into the market, one thing we always preach, especially in the winter, here for us specifically, do your open houses, because if they're showing up to your open houses, they're serious.
Yep, no doubt.
And every open house that our agents have had in this last couple, I mean, one agent had 12 at one of hers, another had 15. There was 6 people through another one. Yeah, all buyers.
Agree.
That we thought open houses were going to be extinct a couple years ago, and now they've been stronger than ever. People are converting them quicker and getting leads from these open houses. So just to see how quickly, and that should just be proof in the pudding right there to show you how quickly something, we thought they were dead, and then nope, they're back, and they're a strong source.
Yeah, they're as strong as they've ever been. And one of the biggest reasons is no longer are you going on to Zillow, getting a hold of an agent, and immediately going out and looking at a home with them. You have to sign an agreement with them before you look at the home. Well, a lot of people want to know who that agent is first. So guess what they do? They go to open houses when they're starting to look. And those are serious buyers these days.
And this might not be a popular opinion by some agents that are listening to this, but I'm just going to say it because I feel very strongly about this. One of the best ways for you to convert people that just walk into your open house into people in your database that become your clients is that you have to be able to find a connection with those people. And I think one of the mistakes that we're seeing a lot, especially right now, is newer agents or younger agents, because, a new agent doesn't necessarily mean they're young, that they want to do all the open houses that are at the really high price point, right? I mean, I'm not trying to be a jerk here, but I'm guessing if you're brand new to the market and you're under 30, let's just say, maybe under 25, I don't know, or you're newer, it's highly unlikely that in the high price point, you're going to have someone walk into that open house that you're going to have a ton in common with, or that you're going to have a warm market connection with. I'm not saying it couldn't happen, but you're much higher probability to be in a price point of a home that maybe you or your sphere or your peers would be buying, because that's where you may have them walk into that house, or someone that knows them.
It's not the agent. It's that a lot of those people that are looking at the higher end homes, they are not first time home buyers, and they got a realtor.
Yeah. Well, they got a realtor, or you're just not going to be able to as quickly find common ground with them. You're going to, I say this all the time. I preach it to the agents in our office, like especially the one, Danielle. I'm like, do the ones where people most likely, what price range would you be buying in? Yeah, right. Do the open houses in that price range, because that's probably your best course of meeting people and talking to people and have real, genuine conversations.
Agree.
Well, there's some strategy to it too. Just not only, what potentially would you be buying into, but maybe where you grew up, or, something like that. I can't tell you how many countless times that I go and do Rock Island or even Moline open houses, and you run into parents of kids you went to high school with, and they're looking for their kids, and you connect over that. There's some strategy behind placing yourself in a place to succeed. So understanding, yes, it's all glamorous. We want to, position ourselves in this big, beautiful house. But there's also a higher percentage that if you place yourself in somewhere where you make a easier connection, you're going to have more success and a chance to pick up somebody you had no idea was looking for.
And it's probably going to be a longer term relationship, right, PT? So it's the person that maybe they're buying their first home, which is going to be their second home. They're also probably going to refer you to everybody and their brother. And eventually they're going to be the one buying and selling in that higher price point. The other thing that I was going to say is if you have a geographical farm, if you guys are farming, I know the agents in our office are doing farming. That's where you should be doing your open houses. You should be doing them in a place where people are already going to walk in and recognize you. So, you have to be strategic. Don't just look at the price point of the property. And no, I have one more thing to add. Sorry. The other thing is pay attention to, in our office, we do, Market Mondays. Well, now, what do we call them? I don't know. Update Tuesday, whatever we're calling it. We're doing on Tuesdays. But what's your average? I just said, in the Midwest, the average days on the market is 9 to 10 days. Okay. So maybe the best time to do an open house is for a house that's maybe 14 days, second week on the market. It's probably going to pop, right? I don't know what the exact is, but that's a data that you should be knowing, because that's most likely the property where you're probably going to pick up a buyer.
Yeah. And a lot of people don't look at it like this, but even if you don't get a buyer off of that open house, a lot of people are just out there looking at who they might list their house with. And don't forget that either, that you're advertising yourself. It's literally, you drive it like costs you gas money and your time, but you're there and it's advertising for free.
Right. And even if it's not even an open house, but just to kind of go back to the whole thing, spend your time in the places that you're, that you want to be known in. So if, go to the car washes, go to the grocery store, go eat food at in these areas or places that you want to be seen in, right? Because once you continue to be seen over and over, then people will remember.
Absolutely.
I saw a PT at Hungry Hobo the other day, and then they go and tell their kids that you maybe went to high school with or something.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
So it's all strategy. Open houses. It's been quite incredible to see the comeback that they've made, not only for us but also the consumers as well. It just allows them to be a little bit more free and explore and all of that other good stuff. But yes, we're preparing for holidays, all of that crazy stuff, but also we want to prepare for the next calendar year, 2026. I'm looking over here over my shoulder at this ginormous year calendar, but how do we approach not only planning for our business in 2026, but also personal side in 2026?
I think something that we've been pretty good about, and I would really encourage all of you, no matter how long you've been in the business, to take those things that are very important to you, or those things that are repeat things for you that you do every single year, or you want to do this year, and I would get those dates and I would schedule them and put on your calendar. That's twofold. Number one, it's because you're making sure that you're taking the time away that you need, which is better for you, for your business, for all of the things. But in addition to that, when you put them on your calendar in advance, when you're looking and you're helping your buyers and sellers, you're able to try to plan a little bit better in regards to if the timing makes sense. Like, let's say you're planning you're going to be gone for a week vacation. Well, if it's also not the most ideal time for a seller to go live on the market during that time, great. Now we can hold it off a week or two, because it's best for you, for the market. And it's also best because you're not going to have somebody else that's going to cover for you. So I just think it's very important to prioritize those things. Also trainings, right? I think that that's the one thing that a lot of times you'll see good, whether it's mastermind, where there's a event we're going to go to in January, that if you don't know about those in advance, you're not able to put those on your calendar to make sure that you can attend. And I think that's important. If there's something, a skill that you're trying to work on, something from this year, hey, I wish I could be better at this or this or this. Okay, how can I find time in next year to make sure that's a priority for me? So look at that, get those on your calendar.
Yeah, no, I would agree with everything you just said.
I believe business planning.
Wow.
Thank
Have you
goodness.
ever heard that?
Thank goodness. We have a breakthrough. Business planning, I believe, is fairly structured, and there's an ideology that the majority can pick up. I don't want to harp too much on business planning, but I think the biggest thing, and what I'm specifically learning, is more of that personal side. When you're touched on travel, vacations, potentially, knowledge, skill-based learning opportunities. And something that was brought to my attention by my coach Dusty was that he has every single trip, vacation, travel planned out before January 1st hits. It seems a little bit crazy. It seems a little wild, especially in our industry that seems to never really be set in stone. But if you can control what you control, right? Maybe send a message out to your group of friends or your friends and family and say, hey, what's our plan? There is a way to get around it, in my opinion. So it's just wild to think that, oh my gosh, I'm going to plan my whole year out, my whole calendar year. I'm going to have dates set in October and all this stuff. But I believe that does bring some structure and ideology to have a free flowing 2026.
Well, and it's so funny that you say that, because when we first started doing that, with at least there's two different specific things that we do every single year. And I mean, we first started doing that, blocking it out. And I mean, it was probably 3 years ago, 4 years ago, where we were like putting it on our calendar, and we actually started doing it because we needed to, because we rent our property, and our property manager needed our dates because everybody wanted to book them. But now it's like just kind of nice, because again, we can, it's just great for planning purposes. Yeah. Right. I agree with Dusty. High five there, Dusty.
Yeah. No, it's so that's something I'm going to be personally working on aside from the business planning as well. But what also is kind of something, we can plan out a year, and we kind of talked about what a day-to-day looks like as well. But when we go week to week, how specifically should we have, we talked about routine as well on previous podcasts, but what should we be doing week to week to kind of fall in line with the calendar that we have planned out?
Well, just me personally, I really like it when we use Follow Up Boss as our CRM. I also, like PT said, we have this massive calendar, it's probably half my wall, which I blocked out. So like I can easily be sitting at my computer and look up and see when we're gone for something, when there's some training or some event. So it's not everything on there. It's just the things I know. But I feel like it's very hard for you to plan for the week you're in and what should be your priority if you can't look at the next 30 to 60 days to see what other availability you have. So I definitely think that when I look at my week, I also look at my next 30 to 60 days at the same time, right? There's an agent we've been trying to have lunch with that's newer to our group just to, just bounce some ideas off of. And, he's an experienced agent. And I want to learn a little bit from him and whatnot, see how he likes real. And like, we've not been able to do that for 2 weeks. And what's horrible about that is we're about to take a 2-week trip. We've already talked about this. So now it's like, it's a month before we're going to be able to get together with him. So that's why I think it's important that you don't have that blinder view of just the 1 week. You need to look further out so you can prioritize what needs to happen. And not that you weren't a priority, Mr. You know who you are. We're going to make this work.
Yeah,
no doubt. So, it's funny to think back all the way to the beginning of the year, but I believe a theme that was kind of thrown out there was back to the basics, right? We're going back to the basics on what we want to do day in and day out, whether that's, working leads that come in or doing open houses. Do we have any predictions of what the theme will be for 2026?
I think 2026 will be go after it. And I say that hopefully in 2025 that you honed your skills in. But I do think 2026, we are going to see a more drastic rate cut. And I am talking a mortgage rate cut. And this is just my prediction. And I truly think that spring and summer of 2026 will be crazy busy. And we're still won't have the inventory, but we'll have a lot of buyers out there. But I do think that you'll start to see inventory tick back up again at the end of next year, that a lot of people with the rates being down will then all of a sudden move off of 0.0 and move that they've had a tough time doing it, which you can't blame them with the 2.75 interest rate or what have you. Unless they have to move, they're not doing it right now. But if you can get those rates down to, under 6, boy, I really think this market's going to be crazy next year in 2026. Crazy good.
I agree with what Brad said. Wow, that's twice now, PT. And I really think the thing is too, is that, especially for us personally, we, transitioned brokerages just over 2 years ago. We opened an office, which was a longer process than we thought. We've been really growing our team intentionally and really working on training and processes and just how we can help each other do better. And I think we're really getting in our groove on that. I know there's still ways we need to grow and things that we're refining, but I agree. I mean, I just think that we're set up. And our processes internally are better too. Like we have Nikki, we have a new system we're using that we're really maximizing to get the agents back into selling and not the transaction side of things. So I just think that, you couple that with a little more inventory rates going down, and I just think it's just off the charts 2026.
Agree.
Go after it. I mean, that's powerful. I mean,
love it.
it's such a good feeling just to go after and go get it.
We need a sign for our office.
I love it. It should be motivational. So, this is a perfect time to, get ahead and decide, are you going to go after it in 2026?
Agree.
All right.
Peace.
Peace.